Here we are in the beautiful downtown Vancouver area in beautiful Canada. We are here with our K2 Elites for our first international mastermind since COVID. And we thought as something new, we would give you a little bit of a peek behind the veil, a little bit more than what we would usually share. Check it out.
Have you ever had a conversation with someone, like a meaningful conversation with someone, and you felt the conversation and it landed within you? Have you ever had a conversation with someone before and you leave it going, oh fuck, and you're just trying to think of everything that they said and remember everything they said? What was a better experience for you? So it's a felt conversation, and felt wisdom, felt knowledge, felt love doesn't come from the mind. It comes from something deeper within it. Every time you use a thought process to identify how you're going to engage in that moment, you are working on historical information. Let's call it 20, 30, 40 years of mind construct experience. But imagine if you could surrender the mind construct just for a moment and actually tap into something that's been running and evolving for over 8 billion years. This is about allowing you to step into a level of knowledge which is not bound by the confines of your mind. This is what I believe is the infinite game. And the infinite game is not being limited by a psychological construct. It's about coloring outside the lines. It's about tuning in and feeling into things that aren't even within you.
Try thinking less. Go into a conversation and instead of thinking about what you're hearing and thinking about what you're saying, see if you can genuinely feel what the person is saying.
Some of you are going to go, okay, I'm going to not think, but then you spend like 5 minutes thinking about not thinking.
I don't care what you think your dog is thinking, he's not thinking at all. And the reason your dog is so fucking happy is because of that. You know, people say, oh man, dogs, they're the greatest animal in the world. You know why they're so happy? Because they don't think. They have not been burdened with a frontal cortex, with these lobes of almost misery, right?
What I'm learning with my embodiment process right now is not to make the decisions during the processing. Because during the processing, we're feeling, we're sensing, in some cases we're overwhelmed. And like, and then the mind wants to kick in and go, well, this is what it means, this is what it means, this is what it's like, this is so overwhelming. Versus, you know what? I'm not even gonna fucking think about what I'm feeling right now. I'm just gonna feel through everything I'm feeling right now. And once I've gone through the process of feeling and I'm empty, then I'll tune into what's right. Because sometimes feelings and emotions are nothing more than transitory experiences that once they come to their completion, give you a level of clarity.
If Napoleon Hill was a modern human who was fully evolved, the book would be titled Feel and Grow Rich. Take a deep breath, put your hands on your body and ask yourself, how do I feel about this conversation? And then start there, because how you feel will determine what you need to do next. Like imagine ringing your wife or ringing your partner or ringing your friend. How was the first day of it? Oh, it was great. What did you learn? Oh, how not to think. Well, I thought that was just native for you anyway.
My son's from a split home. Ever since he's been one, it's been a split home.
I just want to jump in right away.
Go.
That's a story.
Cool. Thank you. When we have conversations about his life, I get triggered internally around them conversations. Like it's like I go full defense straight away to protect him.
Byron Katie says defense is the first act of war. So we definitely don't want to defend. I loved how I challenged you right out of the gate, and your immediate response, you were like, thank you. Because the only response to feedback of any kind is thank you. So when somebody is coming to you with, some kind of commentary about your child, what's the response?
Yeah, I don't say thank you.
I know, right? And our job is to understand that defense has actually nothing to do with that other person and nothing to do with the conversation. It's coming from within. And so when you think about the experience of defense, does it feel like angry?
Yeah.
Okay.
I could be angry if I chose to, definitely.
Okay. Anger is always a projection of guilt. So what do you feel guilty about when you think about your son? Do you have an answer? Does any of it have to do with not feeling good enough? Or like you did it wrong? So that doesn't have anything to do with your boy. It has to do with this boy. Can you take the microphone for him? Do you feel that inside your body somewhere right now? All right. Can you take your hands and put them on that part of your body? Good. Put your other hand there right now too. Because what you're doing is you're coming home to your little boy. This one. And do you want to know what the gift is of your boy on the outside? He's allowing for you to say hello to the boy on the inside. Was he your firstborn son? Okay, so the connection's very powerful then.
There's literally only 3 ways you can grow your business. They fall into one of these categories. Go out and get more clients, which is a very expensive way to grow your business, but necessary. Create more awareness. Number 2 is transaction value, meaning what are the margins? What are the transactions? How can you bundle your products, have more profits on each transaction? And number 3, obviously, is frequency. How many times do they come back and purchase from you during that annual term? So let's just give you a quick example, throwing some numbers there real quick. If you have 1,000 customers, $1,000 per transaction, they purchase from you 2 times a year, what are your revenues? $2 million, right? So what if you did increase your efforts across the board? So if you're now at 2 million and you increase it by 10%, what's your new number here? 2.2, right? It's not 2.2, it's 2.662, which means a 33% increase. Now the key distinction here is they must be done simultaneously. You can't just spend all your time and efforts going to get new clients. You can't just spend time bundling or packaging or getting a more higher margin on your transaction. You can't just be getting your customers to come back and see you more often. And I can tell you that the last 2 are easier and less expensive to do because you've already invested the money to capture that client. Most of us are not going back and repeating by purchase referrals from our clients.
Albert Einstein said that if you can't explain it to a 6-year-old, you don't understand it yourself. Innovation is saying no to 1,000 things. We make progress by eliminating things, by removing the superfluous. And I would argue that there's an awful lot of superfluous in the world, and he or she who develops the skill to eliminate it becomes more valuable as an employee and as a contributor to the company's success. I worked with a group of people once where the creative director said, "We refuse to accept any brief that is more than 1 page, and you can't play games with font size and margin size. It's got to be like normal." And it was simple. We want to know, who are we talking to? Who's the audience? What do they think now? What do we want them to think? And what are the points we want to make that will help change their mind? Why does that take more than a page? When you have something so crystallized, the people on the receiving end can actually put it into action. You know what it is you have to do. If you hand somebody the 20-page brief, it's just perplexing. It's just really, really hard to work that way. So I take Einstein's quote and modify it slightly. If you can't fit it on a page, you don't understand it yourself. And one of the things at Apple, they weren't 1 page, they were like 10 pages, but there was like 1 line on each page with an interesting graphic. And when you went through their 10 pages, you knew exactly why the product existed and why it was better than anything that's out there now.
So, to have good children. So what is good? Servile, obedient, compliant, quiet, listens to us, follows us. Yes? That's good. That's what culture says. That's how our children should be. But you know now, sitting on the other side of 30, that all those good qualities in you doesn't make a maverick leader, does it? If I was good, I would never be on stage today. If I was good, I wouldn't dare to write provocative things and be a change maker. You wouldn't either. If you were just good, you would never be truly wealthy. So what are you teaching your children to be good? So in all sorts of ways, I want this to show you that you are conditioning your children out of a robotic enslavement to cultural messages that are actually dysfunctional and toxic. So in order to be a conscious parent, you need to dare. You need to dare to step out of the matrix. You need to dare to challenge the paradigm. You need to dare to look at every belief system you have so arduously believed in and dare to ask, why do I believe in this? Where did this belief system come from? Actually, every utterance from your mouth is probably a conditioned utterance.